तो स्वागत है आप सबका आज हमारे दूसरे लेक्चर में। तो for the topic of the second lecture in this series of 1 week program is about the tools and softwares of cybersecurity. So yesterday we have seen that there are various opportunities for attackers where they can reach into your systems, including your mobiles and your systems in office. And there are various ways. The team member of our first lecture has explained you about how the emails could be tracked, and they could be forgery of emails where links are provided to you to click on, and then the click leads to the hacking of your system. So now we will explain about the tools and softwares used for cybersecurity. There are various categories where the tools of various categories could be used based on your requirement. So let's move on. This is the way we will be completing this part of the lecture. First, we will try to understand what is data breach, and then what are the tools, softwares that leads to the safety and security against the attack. At last, I will have a little explanation about the security in database systems. The people who are related to the database operations in your organization will be understanding that. So this is the way we will be covering the total lecture today. Let's try to understand what is the breach of data. The breach of data is all over the news. Like yesterday, we have shown you some newspaper cuttings about the top leaders and top bureaucrats, which are including the news anchors, which have been targeted and successfully executed the attacks. So the data breach indicates the loss of our personal data, which could be related to clear identification of individual. If we write something which is not clearly identifying you, then that data loss is not called data breach. If there is something like your identity, your PAN card, your office ID card, where your individual user employee ID is written, then that indicates that the loss of that ID card will be a data breach. If it comes under the PCI compliance, like your ATM card or such cards are executed based on some compliance from the global industries and global teams, which identify that this is the method for issuing the ATM cards. Then new compliance regulations like GDPR demands more stringent data security control. So the GDPR is basically for regulatory authority or guideline where it explains about how the data should be secure. To help you improve your security and compliance posture in your organization, we have to put together a list of top 12 data security solutions for protecting sensitive data and passing the audits. The standard audit procedures from Shartin or any other organization will have standard procedure to check whether your website or your product or your data set, they are secure or not. A data breach is an incident where information is stolen or taken from a system without the knowledge of or authorization of the system owner. See, if you are asked for giving your ID card at your hotel or some stay, or you have to display your ID card at your entrance in the employee in your organization, then it's not data breach. But if the same thing has been done without your permission, then it is data breach. Data protection priorities, what are the things we have to consider when the data protection is being considered? So three areas of concerns are data loss, data disclosure, and data misuse. To ensure that you put in place software to prevent these three types of events, we will explain you now the strategy for doing it. First is data discovery and classification. In order to protect your data effectively, you need to know exactly what sensitive information you have. The data discovery and classification solutions will scan your data repositories for the type of data you consider important based on the industry standards or custom requirements. Like your ATM, the PIN is an important part, the ATM number is an important part, and third important part is the date of expiry. Same way, if it is any other type of card, you have different data which is called or considered as classified. So digital signatures denoting its classification, it is there clearly labeled on that. You can those labels or focuses your data security resources and importance control to protect the data according to the value of the organization. If the data is modified, its classifications can be updated. In this part, we will try to understand that how the data is being classified. In case you are working for IB or CBI or any other such organization, for that you may be considered, your ID card may be considered as very secure or very classified. Your identity, especially about which division, which section, or which project you are working, that will be considered as your classification or classified information. So such organizations which are working for sensitive data or sensitive organizations, then the classifications are high. If the same thing is being done, like if the individual is working in a factory where some motor vehicle parts are being considered, or if it is cycle production company, your ID card may not be so sensitive, or your information about which time you're going, what time your company or what time your schedule starts at the office, those things may not be information, not be classified information. But the same thing like CSF unit, which part of the country they are being shifted, or by which train they are going, how many people are going. This information may look normal, but it is very classified if the target is being tracked or the organization is being targeted. In such case, so as a general practice, we have to understand that we should try to not to disclose the information which is not required at the time. Like somebody asks you generally what organization you are working, then it's a general thing. You can say that I am working in ISRO, or I'm working in CSF, or I'm working in defense. But when the same thing is being asked by unknown person, and we don't know what objective he is targeting, why he is interested in you. So such things are to be considered. So we will try to understand what are the other parts. So first thing was data discovery and classification. So if you think about the way the terrorist works, or organization works, then we have to think about that. Let's see that how they are easily targeting people. Next part is control should be in place to prevent the user from falsifying the classifications level. Sometimes the organizational classification of items may be wrongly classified, and that leads to the disclosure of information. And because the policy may say that the classification level 1 should not be disclosed, 3 may be disclosed. If you are putting some information in classification 1 instead of 3, then it is safe. But if you are considering the same thing in opposite way, your highly classified information being put in the lowest valued classification, then the disclosure will be easy as per policy, but it will lead to the disasters. So there are tools like Natrix data classification that makes data discovery and classification easier and more accurate. This is one part. When we come to the second part, this is firewall. This is mostly used for the IT and the network industries. And especially every organization is working on the IT field nowadays. So we should consider having a full-fledged firewall system for defending the networks. There are various types of firewalls that depends on based on your organization, what type of activities they are doing. There are some general firewalls which protects your network from unknown softwares or their targeted attacks. and denial of services attacks or various other types of the attacks. So these general firewalls could be used for preventing the hackers or general trackers so that they will be denied the access. But if the same thing is put up for a highly classified organization, then you should consider having multiple firewalls. There are few firewalls which are highly costly and they protect in a proper way. But there are some firewalls which are not considered as more safe. So while you are purchasing the firewalls or even the maintenance of firewalls, that should be taken as per the organization's policy. And the policy should be stringent enough as per the Government of India guidelines. And they should be completely disallow of traffic which is not meant for or which is being identified as the illegal. So such things should be properly classified in the policy itself. And then the infrastructure of the firewall devices such as routers and servers also should be properly categorized in the firewall so that the accurate policy of firewall rules is being put on the routers and servers. You can find both hardware and software firewalls for these solutions. There are a category of firewalls like web access firewalls, web application firewalls. So these are highly considered for protecting the websites. So there are, if your organization works for serving the people on based on the website or public portals, then considering purchase of a firewall targeted for web application should be on priority. Then third is your backup and recovery policy. A backup and recovery solution help organizations protect themselves in case of data is deleted or destroyed. Sometimes incidentally, it happens that unknowingly some files are being deleted. So if we are having some backup, that could be a great help in sometimes. All critical business assets should be duplicated periodically to prevent such type of loss. If there is a server failure, accidental deletion, or malicious damage from ransomware or other attacks, you can restore your data quickly. So having a proper policy about backup and recovery and periodic backups, there are multiple type of backup strategies now available. You can have regular backups, you can have incremental backups, where the difference of files, which is changed from the last backup, that alone is taken as a copy, and so that the network traffic is less and your backup is readily available. There are disaster management and recovery plans where such disasters happens in maybe in years, but we are ready for that because it happens we don't know when it can happen, but whenever it happens, the complete collapse of organization or department happens. So we should be ready for that and test the backup plans and recovery plans in periodic basis so that we are ready whenever it happens. Fourth is the antivirus. The antivirus is, we are well known to them. Most of the systems, laptops we are using nowadays, mobile devices also, we are using the antivirus system. The most widely adopted security tool for both commercial and personal use. There are many different antivirus software vendors which makes the various different types of antivirus, and they claim each other that they are better than the other. But what best suits for your application, that we have to understand. In some organizations, there are less systems, but they are highly critical. So such things we have to consider in top priority. There are some organizations where the few systems are highly critical, but rest of the systems are for general use. So based on the applications and your organization of network, these things should be taken care. Antivirus solutions help to detect and remove the Trojans, rootkits, viruses that can steal, modify, or damage your sensitive data. Whenever there is a breach or there is a system attack, the antivirus at your local system will be able to identify the signature of attack, and based on the signature identification, they will stop the access, they will restrict the control. And many times there are some antivirus softwares which are highly sophisticated. They will completely shut down your system whenever such attacks starts. So considering antivirus for your safety tool is also a part. Let's go for the fifth option. There are intrusion detection and prevention systems, which we call IDS or IPS. Sometimes nowadays they are coming as part of firewall. So we can have this integrated already in the firewall section. But however, it could be separately also available in market. You can have only the system of IDS for protecting your network. Traditional intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems perform deep packet infection, that is called DPI, on network traffic and log potentially malicious activities. The IDS could be configured to evaluate systems, event logs, and looks at suspicious network activities and issue alerts about sessions that appear violating the security settings. So if there is a already connected network, you are already accessing some website which is trying to put something maliciously downloaded in your system. In such cases, the IDS system will be completely monitoring your total sessions. So what are the requests you sent? According to that, only the reply packet should be sent via the website. But if there is something which is not requested, but the website is trying to dump that package into your local system, then the session will be monitored, logs will be maintained, and many times, based on the IDS configuration, your such attack will be denied. IPS offers detection capability, but can also terminate sessions that are deemed malicious. So protection system and IDS both works in parallel actually. Most of the time, you will not find IDS and IPS as a separate device or software package. They will be combined in single set. But however, if the organization is so huge, you can have the financial capacity also to host both the devices as separately or both softwares as separately, then you can go for individual. But most of the time, you will find IPS and IDS on the same device or same software. So usually that limits most of the attacks. There is almost always an analytical step between alert and action. So security administration accesses whatever the alert is treated, whether the threat is relevant to them or whether there is anything they can do about it. IPS and IDS are the great help for data protection because they can stop a hacker from getting into your file server using exploits, malwares. But their solutions requires good tuning and analysis before making a session drop decision on the incoming alert. So this needs some tinkering on, or sometimes it is required to have some configuration steps. So this is also a good system. Then there is a complete bunch of security information and event management tools. In this, this is a combination of various small tools, which combinedly works in a seamless way, and they provide us a good system setup. Most of the time, there are only software packages. It's not hardware. Security information and event management solution provides real-time analysis of security logs that are recorded by network devices, servers, and software applications. Not only do SIEM solutions aggregate and correlate the net events that come in, but they can perform event deduplication, removing multiple reports on the same instance and then act based on alert and trigger criteria. So the SIEM softwares are complete solutions which works in combination of each other. So whenever an event log recorded, based on the event log, which software it was created of, that will be identified. So in a complete picture of the complete movement on the network, you will be able to notice. SIEM softwares are good for generating custom reports whenever you need a specific report, while like from which system the attack has been started, or which system is having more load of application servers, or there are some malicious activities going on in some few systems, you can list out them separately. Even you can identify from which website the traffic was started and when it was stopped. So such things are close monitoring of logs and related things could be done with SIEMs. It also usually provides analytical toolkits that will help you find only those events that you currently need, such as events related to data security. SIEM solutions are vital for data security investigation. Mostly when the attack happens, it after attack analysis or after attack reports, it can be highly sophisticatedly generated in SIEM softwares. So seventh point is data loss prevention. Data loss prevention systems monitor workstations, servers, and network to make sure that sensitive data is not deleted, removed, moved, or copied. Nowadays, the DLP systems are also available for mobile devices, including laptops, mobiles, and notepads. So these solutions are highly useful when we have a devices related to the organization and the contents of the device is highly secure. These systems also monitor who is using and transmitting data to spot the unauthorized use. Nowadays, systems are available for such type of protection on mobile. So officially, if there are mobiles which are being allowed in the organization, and the organizational identified devices could be whitelisted so that those devices are allowed to take, for example, there are devices which could be softwares which could be installed in your mobile, and the mobile comes when the geofencing is started in your office. Like you enter in the gate, then onwards, your device, especially the mobile, will not be able to take photos. You want to be able to record videos or audios, and such restriction will be completely inside your premises. Once you are coming out of the office, your device will work normally. So such type of restrictions are possible via these softwares, which is highly useful when you are allowing some people to have mobile phones inside office. So once that comes in, you will be only having the option of calling or receiving the calls. So they are highly safe, including the smartphones. They could be used as normal phones inside office, and you are completely safe when you are not interested to show or take photographs or video records of your office environment. Access control is the most important part. We have to identify individuals which are the restrictions they should be allowed to use and what are the things which are not allowed for them. In most of the cases, users should not be allowed to copy, restore, or sensitive data locally. Instead, they should be forced to manipulate the data remotely. Moreover, sensitive data should be ideally never be stored on a portable system. Or like you have a sensitive reports, they should not be allowed to copy it in your pen drives. So all systems should require a login of some kind to maintain these logs in the system. In addition, sensitive files should be accessed only via authorized person. User permission should be granted. So there are access control lists in your systems. In the operating system level also, like Windows servers, they are highly sophisticated way of providing access control list. And same way, there are network equipments, including switches. They provide the access control list. So this way, we can control the traffic on network and systems. So there is a part like called whitelist and blacklist. So the blacklisted items will not be allowed. They are highly prohibited. If you have whitelisted something, that whitelist will be allowed to access. So there are requirement in your office to be having the portable devices, including pen drives. Then you can identify one or two pen drives, and those pen drives will be whitelisted in all the systems. So that whenever those whitelisted pen drives are connected to your systems in your office, then they are allowed to copy the data. But apart from those devices, if you try to put something else or any other new pen drive, that will be not allowed because that is not in the whitelist of the systems. So this way we can have some control on data protection. You can find more information about how to properly configure anti-face permissions in the list of anti-face permission management best practices. So this is for the Windows users, and for Linux users also there are generally publicly available access based on the Linux version, or which version of Linux, or which SUSE Linux, or which Linux we are using. Role-based access control is also there. Active Directory and group management and delegation of authorities, that is also available in Windows systems. Mostly when you are using as an organization, there should be a recommended active Directory control group, from where you can have the policy pushed to all the systems in your organization. There are some users which are using cloud. So if you're using clouds in your organization, we have to first see that whether the cloud uses are allowed in your organization, because many of the government organizations are not allowed to access the clouds, as they are posting the data and keeping the data in other countries, and seamlessly they are providing us the access. So there is advantage of speed and system power, but there is chances of losing the data or disclosure of data. So based on the organization policy and government guidelines, we should choose whether we have to go for the cloud or not. But in case you're going for the clouds, you have to verify and check that all your data is being prevented and safely stored. Cloud storage can be troublesome sometimes. So we have to make sure that it is properly redundancy, disaster recovery, and so on, they are being maintained. Security providers that sell security as a service is also available for our users. So there are multiple options available for cloud based solutions. You can choose accordingly. They are mostly license based. You have to pay for a year, or for users based. There are policies which could be beneficial for sometimes for occasional users, like you have a project for only 2 years or a project for only 2 months. Then you can hire these cloud services for only 2 months and pay accordingly. So they are highly sophisticated, but we have to go according to the organization's requirement, whether we are allowed to go for the cloud or not. This is a typical organizational structure. In most of the cases, we are having first level via ISP, and then there are government organizations. Then you will be having the NCAN network, so National Knowledge Network, that has been most of the time provided in all the government organizations. After that, you'll be having a firewall defense of your organization. Then if you are having some websites where web services are running, then you will have the web firewall, which I just now explained. Then it comes the L2 switch, level 2 switch. Then there are core switches, which are distributing all the network in various departments, labs, telephone exchange, accounts, purchase, and building administrations. So typically in a network, these are the scenario. So when we come across how the data could be lost, then you can understand that if there is some data being transferred from one department, it will go to other department. It is highly safe, or at least it is safe a little bit. When you consider it going through L2 switch and going outside the ISP, then it is going out of the organization. The regular activity of auditing is also part of your schedule. How to protect your sensitive information properly? You should need an audit and change in your system and attempt to access the critical data. So whenever the critical data being attacked or being accessed by the user, unauthorized user or authorized user, you should have a proper log. Once it is being logged, the audit person can come and see anytime that these are the activities which was happened. The basic problem in security systems are, most of the time, if we are highly called so sophisticated and highly intelligent in security systems, then also we will be having the post-mortem type of reports like auditing. Auditing normally we consider as after the event, it will provide us a lot of information, but it's not always true. If the auditing is properly maneuvered and configured in your system, in your organization, Then you will have everyday update about the audits. And if you are watching in carefully, that attack should be prevented in advance. So auditing is should be considered as pre-planning, not as a post-planning. And obviously, it will provide the post-planning activities also. But the core objective of auditing should be targeted as pre-planning. For example, any account that exceeds the maximum number of failed login attempts should automatically be reported to the information security administrator for investigation. Like sometimes your email access is being tried, somebody is trying to log into your email, then he will be trying 5 or 10 times, then it should be blocked. And additionally, the information should be sent to the administration for security administration or investigation. This is part of audit. But what happens is sometimes if this information is just kept for record in the logs, but not observed or not carefully analyzed, then the next time attempts may be successful. So instead of trying for 10 times, he may be trying only one time and he will get the password correct. So such things, if you're watching carefully, then there will be pre-plans and you can securely plan your logins. So this is one example. By using historical information to understand how sensitive data is being used, who is using it, and whether it is where it is going, you could build effective and accurate policies the first time and anticipate that how change your environment highly impact the security. So this is the post planning activity based on the traffic. Your network traffic is going to which part of the department or which system, then you can plan for better speed up. The process can also help you identify previously acknowledged uh, systems or risks. So those risks which are not identified in earlier attacks could be noted because the logs are available, and based on the audit analysis report, we can find that what are the probable attack vectors could be there in the future. So there are also third-party tools that simplify the change management and audit the user activities such as Netflix auditors, and there are many more. There are some security methods like data encryption. So if you are using the websites, you should preferably ensure that it is SSL version 1.2 or more implemented in your website. So it is opening with HTTPS. So this is one part. Another thing like cryptographic encryption of your data and while storing in your backups or while storing in your pen drives, whenever system is the data is going out of your system or even being stored in your system, it should be encrypted properly with your authorization passwords or digital signatures. And trusted platforms should be used for keeping the data and storing it. This is one part where we mostly not consider. Physical security is a very important part in IT security systems. Many times we secure the system very much secured way. But what happens is sometimes the people are allowed to access the system physically. So once the server room is accessible to people, they can go and see what is the network wire connected to which system, which port, and where are the possibilities of tracking or hacking the systems. This is one part. Another part is if the person is being allowed till physical access to the system or building, then he can damage it from various other ways by removing the connections, by removing or disturbing the ports. So such things are to be considered in the most secured environment. But when physical access is allowed, we are exposed to many of the attacks. Sometimes if the individual is putting a simple device in your server, then your total network will be uh, exposed to outside. Common method of securing data security. This was our after the 12th point. This was our last point. What happens is normally every data which we are using is being stored in the database. So the security of database system is more important as considered to the including websites or whether it is something else. So most of the time we have to understand that where our core strength belongs. If your database is not secure, a website login attempt or malformed website code can lead to the access to database. And once the database is accessed, every login of the users or whoever the person using your secure services that listed their ID cards, their photos, their date of birth, everything is available in the database. So one successful attack on your database could collapse a complete organization. In sometimes it may be distributed in multiple geolocation also, and that every information is being lost. So securing the database systems is also in top priority. The physical security of database and servers, from tampering of data, from tampering of network cables, those things should be considered. Monitoring and auditing data for vulnerabilities. Many times when you install the such system, the network was fully secure and the database was also secure. But due time, it was noticed that there are few vulnerabilities notified. Then you have to completely keep track of such vulnerabilities and keep updating your database system. Antivirus, anti-malware protections of especially meant for database systems, database servers should also be implemented. SQL injections prevention is direct attack on database via most of the time via websites. So this has to be taken care completely. Targeting the data corruption or denial of service that should be prevented. Data encryption. Most of the databases are putting encryptions, MD5 or some other type of encryption in your database. So that data encryption methods and decryption methods also should be taken care. With this, we will be closing now for the major sessions of IT security tools and softwares for data protection. Thank you. We will be having the session of question answers. You can type your questions in your the option provided there, and let's have a discussion on that now. Maybe